Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. So I figured instead of just doing like a dry, like introductory video, I'd make this a little bit more casual. So yeah, as you know, that being in tech, it's always about learning new stuff. So I figured I would base a video about learning about something new that I've been playing around with, and then me having to explain it to my good friend Daniel here. Hey Daniel.
Hi guys,
How you
girls.
doing? Yeah, so I just figured this way I can cement my knowledge of what I've learned, and also introduce him to something new as well. But yeah, it's all ad hoc, so it'll be interesting how the demos will go. So today's topic is going to be about OpenAI Studio. So it's in particular the playground. So it's a little actually I'll just share my screen. Okay, so Daniel, so what I wanted to show you today was basically how to create your own ChatGPT. But I'm guessing you know what ChatGPT is, right?
Mm, yeah, what's the full term for it? Generative pre-trained transformer, if I'm right.
Probably, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up as well.
all,
But
all, all we know is like it's a chatbot, right?
yeah.
It
So
chats.
it'll be a chatbot. But yeah, if we build our own, we'll be able to customize it to responses in a way that we might want to as well. But we can also take advantage of all of the data that the large language models behind ChatGPT already knows. So yeah, firstly we'll be doing this in Azure, and I'll show you how to deploy one. Okay, so firstly. It's actually really easy. Microsoft has made it into a PaaS service that you can just essentially go here and just create one. Okay, so essentially you enter in your resource group. So maybe just OpenAI or something, and then you can enter a name and a region. I generally select East US because that's where most of the new features or the models come out. But they're
But so
expanding.
each region has its own instance of features. So not all the region are the same.
Yeah, I think it's all fairly new. So it's not available in all regions as well. It's only available in these ones. Um, but yeah, like for East Australia East, it might not have particular models and things like that. So, but yeah, I'm just going to create my own region, my own instance here. There's only one pricing tier, and then yeah, you can go through. You can make it, restrict to a network if you wanted to, and things like that. I'm not actually going to go and create one now, but I just wanted to show you the process. I've already created one kind of ahead of time. Another thing you can also do is you can also create this using Azure, the Azure CLI as well, or just programmatically. So. But once you create one, essentially you have a resource that can that you can use to interact with uh, your large language models. Okay. But what we'll be going through today is essentially going through this AI Azure AI Open AI Studio. So this is I figured this would be a really good way to get started, because this essentially is a low code way of just generating your own chatbot. Okay, and it's
Right.
really easy.
So this is where you don't need to write any code. You can just play around in the browser. So
Yeah,
you can pull things, drag things, and then formulate your own chatbot things.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. So you got a couple of playgrounds here where you can use different features. So you can use chat um, within the bot. So you can sort of essentially this already acts as a chatbot. Okay. But you can also do things like completions. So you can generate some of these examples. So you can say generate a quiz, and if you generate it, it'll generate this quiz for you, essentially. We've also got the DALL-E, I don't know how to pronounce it, which is a image generation thing. So you can use this to say generate a picture, can't spell, of of the sun, and it will just sit there and generate a picture for you. It could take some time. I think the generation thing. Yeah, there you go. There's a sign. Yeah. So, but the first thing you generally have to do is, because not all of these models, not all of the models will support all of these things. And in fact, there's actually lots and lots of different models. Okay. So what you need to firstly do is you need to actually create a deployment. Okay. And you specify the model that you want. Okay. So these models are essentially these are the large language models that contain essentially all of the vectors and all the knowledge, which could kind of beyond the scope of this talk. I don't know how I can really explain how a large language model works. But that essentially returns you the right response. Okay. So you have to deploy a model first. Okay. And I can go and create one now if you want. So there is also a model version as well. So I'm guessing they're slowly updating it as we go along.
So would the model version correspond to the how new the data it's used to train the AI?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that all of these models are up to like 2021. But I'm not sure. I think they've probably just made small iterations and things like that. So, but yeah, I guess it would be like that to some extent. So,
I know to a certain extent the tokens, the inputs, or what do you call it, parameters, the newer the model they can accept more parameters. Like I think GPT-4 can can accept up to like 35,000. Don't quote me, I might be wrong because it's just five before that GPT 3.5, they can only get up to like 8,000. So it's like a several magnitude higher than the older version.
I think not parameters. I think they call them tokens. Yeah.
Token.
Yeah. So the more token you give it, that you can give it, the more context, I guess, that it has to generate you a more relevant response. So yeah. Yeah, you can also do advanced responses, and you can actually put in content filters if you want as well. So you can restrict, hate speech and things like that. But actually, I won't go and create a quota now because I think I've already created two. I've already created one ahead of this video. But yeah, these deployments essentially allow you to use any of these models. Okay. Okay, cool. So so I might just go into the chat, and we'll probably focus on the chat functionality the rest of this demo. So one thing about large language models is although they seem really smart, they're actually static. Okay, like and they're like a black box, and they don't actually remember anything new. And every new response, every time you talk to the ChatGPT, it doesn't remember your past responses. Okay, so this is kind of what this playground is really for. Okay, because so every time, so here you can actually chat to the chatbot. Okay, so you can go, hi, how you doing? I think I've already done that before. But you can also tweak its responses. Okay, so things you can do to tweak its responses. Firstly, what you can do is you can change the system message. The system message is kind of like the persona, okay, of the chatbot, if you will. I don't know if that's the correct term, but essentially, this is at the moment the default one is you are an AI assistant that helps people find information. But I can tweak this. I can go, I'm an AI assistant that helps people find information, but I'm also really rude about providing that information. Okay, just to have a bit of contrast with info. So if I save this, I can maybe tell me how far Paris is from London. Okay, so we'll see how it goes. And he's like really impatient because now he thinks he has to be this really kind of rude person, right? So that's one way you can tweak the how the bot responds. And there's a couple of templates here you can use. Okay, so you can use things like if you want to be a Shakespearean assistant or something. You can also provide some examples for to kind of tell the chatbot if like I guess articulate the chatbot how you want him to respond. If you wanted to. So here, let's try the Shakespearean one and go. What's today's weather like? And he's talking in all kind of Shakespearean speak, I guess.
Impressive. So this system message, it's a type of global configuration that you set for the whole context of the chat, right? So like anybody that uses your chatbot, it will reply in that specific manner.
Yeah, but what I want to emphasize is that it's not really a global setting. It's more just extra information that you provide to the chatbot. Okay, so when you talk to the chatbot, you send your request. Okay, but then you also send the system message and all these examples every time. Okay, so like I said, the chatbot itself has no memory of how you've actually or what you've been talking about or whatever. Okay, it doesn't learn anything new. It's just like I said, it's just a black box. Okay, so every time you talk to the large language model, you're pushing in the system message. So it's adding extra context to it.
Right. So when you meet every time, so let's say we have like we build this chatbot. Every time we send a new message, so it's resending the whole message history again and again.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Right.
weird, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And there's also other things you can also tweak as well. So you can decide how many of the past messages. So here you can see the full chat here. You can decide how much of the history it's going to send. And the reason this is important is because I think we mentioned tokens before. Okay, so so you have a token limit. Okay, of how much data that you can send to the chat each time, and you're also charged on that token limit as well. So if you're building a chatbot, you have to make a compromise between, I guess, how intelligent it is or how much information it knows already versus how much each request will actually cost, and you pay by essentially the token. So
right. Does a token correspond to the numbers of words in a sentence or in a chat history?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it basically grabs all of this information, this stuff, and then all of the stuff, and everything that you want to provide to it, and then converts it into. I think each one token might be one word or something like that, or maybe like a phrase might be one token as well. I'm not completely sure. It's probably dependent on the model as well. So. There's also parameters you can adjust as well. So you can adjust the max response. So maybe your chatbot's got like you don't want to give really detailed answers, and you want to you don't because the more detailed the answer, the more tokens that it will cost you. So you can restrict the amount of tokens that it can respond with. So this one's only restricted to 400, but you can in theory make it up to 4,000 for this particular model. You can also adjust the temperature. So the temperature is kind of like a way to essentially, what would be the best way to explain this? I think it's like a way to like control the randomness. So essentially, how I
Yeah.
think the large language models work is the next word is based on some probabilistic algorithm. Okay, and if it's closer to 1, it's more likely to be more repetitive. Or wait, is it the other way around?
Yeah. I mean,
No, lowering the temperature. If it's closer to 0, it's more likely to be more repetitive. But if it's closer to 1, it's more likely to be more random. Okay,
right. So would you say it's more something like the creativity of the chatbot? So the higher
yeah,
it goes, the more creative it can be. Whereas like if it's close to 0, it will be very grounded to the truth instead of hallucinating and creating new content that
yeah,
I can think of.
I think so. I think that's probably a really good way to do it. So you kind of have to make a compromise between whether you want something to be fairly factual, I guess, to something that's I guess, yeah, just kind of like them making stuff up, I guess. So
Yeah, because
probably
it's
depends on what
from
you're
the
building the chatbot for.
docs. It was saying like if you use gets or sets the sampling temperature to use the control apparently creativity of generator completion. So yeah, the higher it goes, like it gets more creative.
Yeah, I
And
think even Bing Chat, you can see the different like more precise or more creative in that. You got that setting. So that Bing Chat thing's probably just adjusting the temperature of the chat.
oh yeah. There's a 3 option thing that you can see.
Mm.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think what else is there? There's a stop sequence. I think what this does is if you put a stop sequence of say like it's a full stop or something like that, then the chat model when you talk to it will stop as soon as it has a sequence of stops. So if you have a full stop here, it'll I guess the maximum it can do is one sentence. So whatever you say, it'll stop after one sentence. So tell me about the meaning of life. I don't know, this is probably going to be a multiple sentence response, but because I've told it to stop after the next full stop, it's definitely just stopped after that first sentence. So, and then these frequency and presence penalties. I think it's to regulate how often it repeats a word. So I think presence penalty means that if it's a already generated response, and it's so while it's generating a response, if it's already used a certain word in the past, it'll make it less likely to use that word again in for the rest of the response. And same as this frequency penalty thing, but I can't remember kind of how these two play together. But they're fairly. I think that's the theme of what these two things do. So
right. So
yeah,
this will essentially make them that will limit their creativity, isn't it? Because you don't want them to use the same word over and over again. And
yeah, I think so.
just wonder what would be the use case for these? Like, do people just like the users just normally set it to 0? Because you're not penalizing them. Like, why would you want to set it to 1?
Yeah, I think if you want to be more creative, I guess you'd probably set it to you'd probably increase this as well, right? So if you don't want it to keep repeating the same phrase over and over again, that's probably when you'd probably increase the penalty. So yeah. But I think the main gist of it is that these are the things that are configurable. Yeah. So and it's probably something that you do probably need to have a bit of a play around with, and that's kind of what this chat thing is really for. This playground thing. So cool. Another thing I might also mention that you can do is with this playground is you can actually add your own data as well. So the chatbot itself is really it's got a whole bunch of it's kind of the model itself has got a whole bunch of knowledge about the world, right? Like what an apple is, what an orange is, and it uses that to generate responses. Okay, but you can also customize it to generate responses that is customized for your use case. Okay, so you can use the system message and all these other things that I've showed you already. But what you can also do is you can also have it. You can also upload a data source for it. Okay, so and the playground will show you how to do it. So if you just go add a data source, you can essentially use these particular data sources. So what I'll do is I might just show you a data source that I picked out just earlier today. So I've just got this like document that I downloaded off the internet. It's just like Westpac's credit card info, about what conditions and all that stuff. It's really long and dry. I obviously haven't read through this, and most people probably wouldn't read through it. But what I've done is I've also just put it into I've taken that document and I've put it into a storage account. Okay, so I'll just show you what the storage account here. It's just that document uploaded here. Okay, and so what I might do is I might link this storage account to the OpenAI instance. Okay, and what I generally have to do is I create a blog storage here, and I find the storage account. So I think this is that one here, and then I find the container that it's in. And then and then what I also have to do is I also have to create what they call an Azure AI search service. This has actually been renamed recently. It used to be called Cognitive Search, but essentially this is the thing that takes your document and indexes it, so that then it's essentially searchable by OpenAI.
Right. So that means we can't just upload it to a block storage or a storage account. So we need Azure AI search or cognitive search, which is used to be called, to work with this storage account in order to allow the chat GPT to read from it. Or
So I think I'm going to butcher this definition, but I think I might just show you. Okay, so this search service, okay, has a bunch of
Mhm,
indexes. Okay, and what I'm doing here, what I was doing here, I was really just where was the let's go back here. So what I was really doing here was essentially
mhm,
creating an index, and in fact, you can see that I've it actually asks me to put an index name in. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and create that again. It actually asks me to create an index name. Okay, and when I create an
mhm,
index name, it's actually just creating an index. Okay, so
mhm.
I've already actually indexed it. That document, but it's actually split it into 44 different documents. That one PDF. Okay, because it was like a how many pages ago? It's got like 60 pages or something, right? So it's split it up into 44 essentially um, documents, and it's all indexed here. Okay, and that's what OpenAI uses to generate a response for me.
Oh, right. So it does all this stuff automatically. So you just upload it, and then when you create the search service, it will break it down into like 44 documents from that one
Yeah.
big document.
I will mention though that the chat playground, because it's just a demo thing, it makes it fairly easy. But there's
Mhm.
actually a lot you can actually configure when you create an index. So you can configure what is actually searchable, what's filterable, and it's a whole different thing, I think. So, but for the context of the chat playground, they make it really simple for you. Okay, like but they probably don't give you as many options as you could probably like. So I'm just going to quickly keep going. So you can also have this indexer run more than once. You can have it run. I guess if the data source is always getting updated or something like that, you can have it run like daily or an hourly or whatever. And you can just keep going. You can, and this is a bit where it doesn't really give you many options, but
Mhm.
if you actually use the AI search capability, it will give you a lot more functionality to customize the search the way you want it to. Okay, so I'm not actually going to go through this because this takes a little while to do the indexing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just use an existing data source because otherwise we'll be here all day. Okay, so I'm just going to use the AI search thing, and I am just going to find my AI search instance. Okay, and it's probably going to ask me to. I'm just going to go for AI search. Yeah, this is that was the index I created before. Okay, I just wanted to note that, and that was the search service that I created. So here, that's the index. Okay, maybe you can go into it. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's got a whole bunch of like things that you can customize here. Um, okay, cool. So I've just picked the index, and then I'm just gonna use this as the data source. Okay, gonna finish through. Okay, so now this playground is just referencing this as the data source. Okay, and then I can use this as a data source. So I can just go, give me a question. Does Westpac cover funeral expenses? Okay, so it's kind of
Mhm.
responded to say it does cover it,
Oh,
but it also has like a reference to the actual document as well. So you can click on that and you can see where it's actually referenced, where it's actually coming from. So yeah, so I think this is actually really a nice way to I guess I guess have
yeah.
build a chatbot that actually reads through something that you might want to summarize because like I don't want to go through and read all this stuff, right? But it'd be good to be able to build something that I can essentially go, okay, well I can ask it questions and it'll refer me to the right section and things like that. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool because this essentially helps like clients or organization to not expose their data because you're essentially building your own customized chatbot and feed
mm,
it information that only you care about and feed it information that's sensitive to your organization
that's
rather
right.
than
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so I think there was one quirk about this though, is that you can't have a system message and a data source. I noticed. It's just a playground. You can definitely do it if you
Mhm.
didn't use the playground at all. Like OpenAI would support it, but for this playground, I noticed that the system message doesn't really work with Well, maybe it does. Let me see. Let's do that rude thing again. If I miss that and is always rude. Maybe it does now. I don't know. But before, when I was trying it, it didn't actually include the data source as well. So I'm just going to ask it again about does Westpac cover, I don't know, funeral response transfers? Is it going to be rude? Yeah, see, it's not rude at all, right? It's just it either takes your data or it takes a system message. So yeah, just something to think about. Cool. Okay, so lastly, what I wanted to do is that once you have this playground and you played around with it, one thing you can also do, you can actually deploy your own app. Okay, so here you've got this ability to deploy it to a web app or a Power Virtual Agent bot as well. Okay, I'm just going to deploy my own app. And this will actually create a web service for you. Okay, so I'm just going to create a web service, a web app, Westpac bot, and you just enter in things like your subscription. Maybe just make it the same OpenAI. You can put a location in. I'll put it into East US probably. You can make it the SKU that you want. Enable chat history, and now it'll actually deploy it. Okay. So this will take about 10 minutes. I'm just going to go to another an instance of an app that I've already deployed. Okay. So let me just go and find the app service. So what this actually does once you deploy it is it actually creates a an app service. Okay. So I've just got this max value chat. Okay. And I'll explain what this means later. But essentially, this is the app service that it's actually deployed. Okay. So and this app service is actually tied to this repo. Okay. So I can actually go to this GitHub repo here. And this is actually essentially where all that logic comes from. Okay. So this is essentially a repo that essentially displays the chatbot. So I go to the web app itself, you can see that I've actually got a chatbot here. Okay. So I can talk to it and it'll generate a response. Okay. So this is actually a little demo that I did for my friends. I've got a bunch of friends in on a WhatsApp group chat, and I just entered like a little bit of funny stuff about each person. So apparently, Eric is really bad at Street Fighter. So every time I programmed it in the system message so that every time it mentions someone, one of my friends, I can mention myself, Howard Way. It'll make a joke about that person, So I put myself as someone who loves to save money and I love checking my solar panels. Okay, so yeah, it was a little kind of a fun app that I built as part of this. But yeah, essentially this app here, okay, is generated from this particular repo. Okay, and you can fork this repo if you wanted to and change the the logos or whatever as you want. But what you can also do is you can also so all of the things that we talked about before, all the configuration in the playground, the things like, I'm just going to cancel this, all the the parameter settings and all these system messages and things like that, all that stuff is actually in the configuration. Okay, so if you can see here, I can see like I've got my settings about how to actually what system message is supposed to be. I've got my let's say my temperature. I've got my temperature things mentioned here. Like all of those settings are actually there, and I can actually tweak these application settings and actually change the app that way as well. So yeah.
So the system message now, instead of being injected through the code, it's in the config of this web app.
Yeah, exactly. So all this web app does is it's essentially just a UI
Yeah.
for the OpenAI service. Okay, so and every time I type in How's Way or whatever my message is, it just goes through and there will be some logic in that that they've put in to essentially take that system message and add it in as extra context, basically. So yeah.
Cool stuff.
So yeah, so yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty impressive thing that you can very simply generate your own chatbot and then customize it, and then also be able to deploy it to an actual website as well. And like I said, once you've if you can look it through this repo and understand how the code works and things like that, and then you can then customize it yourself. So so it's a really fast, it's a really quick way to get started. So
Yeah, all in a few clicks, less than like 30 minutes. You
yeah,
say like you have a
yeah,
full working chatbot for your organization or for yourself.
yeah, exactly. So cool. Yeah. Any other questions?
Cool stuff. No, I think this gave me a really good introduction because yeah, I haven't looked at this at all. Personally, I should have looked at this, but yeah, this is good stuff.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening.